Today is Tuesday, November 7th, and I'm wondering if Ranger broadcaster Eric Nadel has stopped celebrating yet.
And now a word from our title sponsor.
You've been told to follow the 4% withdrawal rule. Not so fast. Hi, I'm Mitch Craver, founder and CEO of Fluent Financial. The 4% rule was based on not outliving your money. By using an advisory advice solution, it is possible to take up to 8% by changing your overall investment strategy and distribution methods, helping you retire earlier and take that international trip sooner. Go to fluentfinancial.com or go to Fluent Financial's YouTube channel.
Now, you listening may not be in charge of purchasing seasonings for your home, but you do know what tastes good, really good. Goodness steak seasoning is great. Use it on, obviously, steak, chicken, veggies, or goodness knows what else. No sugar, no MSG, no gluten, but great flavor. Get Goodness Steak Seasonings by going to bringthetasty.com. That's bringthetasty.com.
Hey y'all, Jason Velo here with Oh Hail Contractors. I've been in the business for a little over a decade, and one thing I really enjoy doing is serving people. I want to see things made new again, and I can help you through that process by making the insurance claims process understandable and almost easy, believe it or not. Also, I can give you great suggestions on the best roofing system and even ventilation for your home, which ultimately makes your shingle last a little bit longer, even in Texas. Who do you know that wants that level of service? So, if you'd like some help with that, you can call me at 972-567-5766 or find me at ohhail.com, and that's OHHHAIL.com.
Eric Nadel and I met before he'd ever broadcast a single Ranger game. He was the voice of the Dallas Blackhawks, and we were both pretty much starting out. Now he's 72 years old. 45 years of his life have been in the Rangers broadcast booth. That's brought him acclaim, the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's brought him some pretty bad baseball at times, and it's brought him a crushing loss announcing the 2011 World Series, in which the Rangers were one strike away from winning it all. Over 6,000 games broadcast, and it all began at Brown University, where Eric had a part-time job as a janitor. Were you any good at janitoring?
I took a lot of pride in it, Norm. My dad always told me, whatever you do it as best you can. So I was especially good at the toilets. That was my specialty. And since I was working in fraternity houses, they could be pretty messy.
As the years rolled by, and you broadcast a lot of mediocrity or worse, and then the Rangers just missed in 2011. Was it starting to feel like you would never broadcast a champion?
Definitely. Once the window closed for that group of players with their last postseason appearance in 2016, and we went into the dark period of 6 years where the Rangers had 6 consecutive losing seasons, I didn't see any way the team could be rebuilt in time for me to broadcast it. Now, whether it could be rebuilt in time for me to see it as a living human being was another question. But when Chris Young got hired in December of 2020, he told me, look, you need to stick around for a little while because we're going to turn this thing into a winner and we're going to win the whole thing. And it's not going to take that long. And I love Chris. He's really smart and he's very creative. And I figured with his drive, if anybody could do it, he was the one. But I still thought to myself, yeah, right, Chris.
Yeah, he's a little delusional.
And then somehow he pulled it off. He sold his vision to the owners. That was the most important thing. And then he went out and got the right players. And then he went out and got the right manager. And then he got some more players. And he somehow made it happen. And, he had a great foundation laid down by John Daniels, and he was able to build on that and, put the rest of the pieces in place.
Jim Nance, who's a spectacular broadcaster, when he gets ready to broadcast some of the major events he does, Final Four, Masters, things like that, he'll often spend time trying to craft a phrase for the end of it, given a certain type of ending. Did you script your ending for this one?
I didn't script the whole ending, but I did script the line, "Ranger fans, you're not dreaming." Because on the last day, the day before Game 5, in fact, from the moment the Rangers won Game 4 to take the 3-1 lead, I just knew they were going to win the World Series. And it felt like a dream. From the moment Game 4 was over, I felt like I was in a dream. This is really going to happen this time. And so I thought to myself, it would make sense in the final call to assure Ranger fans that they're not dreaming. And how sometimes you're in a dream and you realize that you're dreaming? It happens to me once in a while anyway. I wanted to make sure that people knew they weren't dreaming. And that was the only thing that I really kind of scripted, that one line. And I was definitely going to mention the fact that there had been 52 years of waiting for this. But as far as actually when the different things would be said, and then I hadn't even really thought about saying anything about erasing the ghosts of 2011. And somehow after Matt said, what he did, that just came blurting out.
Over the years when we talked since 2011, when the Rangers were one strike away, we talked about the fact that it was too painful for you to go back and watch that final couple of games against St. Louis. Do you think you might go back and watch them now?
I do, Norm. I'm curious because people have told me that Game 6 was the best baseball game, the most exciting baseball game they've ever seen. And I think now I can go back and watch it, without getting sick to my stomach. I can go back and watch that play, the David Freese triple, over and over again to get a better appreciation for, where Nelson Cruz was when the play started. How close did he come to catching it? Definitely should he have caught it or not? I can hear the name David Freese over and over again without, getting queasy. All of those things happened the instant the Rangers closed out Game 5 and won the World Series.
Eric, a lot of announcers take on a character on the air, if you will, an identity that really isn't quite their own identity. Yet you've never done that. Have you ever considered another identity as a broadcaster?
No, it just kind of came naturally to me to be myself on the air. I don't know that anybody ever told me to do that, but part of it is, I don't have a big voice. I don't have a classic broadcaster's voice. You and I share that. And to try and become Mr. Microphone on the air, Mr. Radio Announcer on the air, it wouldn't work for me. I don't have the stentorian tones of a John Sterling, or even the kind of incredible radio voice that my partner Matt Hicks has. I'm just me, and that's one of the reasons baseball, I think, worked out so well for me, because my voice is a conversational voice. It's not a super authoritative voice like, so many football announcers have and so many big-time newscasters have.
We share something else. We grew up, I'm a bit older than you, but we each grew up in the 60s and 70s, listening to Mel Allen in New York, Ernie Harwell do the Tigers games, Harry Carey do the Cardinals games, Bob Prince, who was a real character, do the Pittsburgh games. Does any of them stand out for you? Do any of them sort of become, I want to do that types for you?
Well, Mel Allen was the one specifically for me, because when I started listening to games on the radio, it was Mel Allen and Red Barber. And there was a very stark contrast between the two of them. Red was all business. He was serious. And he would start the broadcast by saying, "Hi, friends, Red Barber here." But I never got the feeling that he was really my friend. Mel Allen, though, he was my pal. In fact, I stole my open from him as a tribute to him. "Hello there, everybody." And he had just this warm Southern charm to him. And I really did feel immediately like he was a good guy. And he was the guy more than anybody who caused me to ask my father, does Mel Allen get paid to do that? How did he get off his other job to go to Yankee Stadium? And my dad said, no, he gets paid, and he gets paid enough he doesn't have to have another job. And I said, well, then maybe I'd like to do that rather than being a dentist like you and going and pulling teeth.
This wasn't an easy year for you. You took a leave of absence to start the year. You missed the first 109 games of the year to address severe depression. At points of the season, did a little voice say to you, you're never making it back to the broadcast booth this year?
Yeah, it seemed hopeless for a while. The first couple of months, I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel, and gradually I made enough progress and, was able to reduce the amount of medication that I was taking to the point where I was clear-headed enough where I could think about potentially coming back. And then, fortunately, in July, the Rangers gave me the opportunity whenever I wanted to come out and do practice broadcasts in a private booth by myself. I felt like a high school kid again, making believe I was on the air when I really wasn't.
With your little tape recorder.
I didn't bring a tape recorder. I didn't want to hear it. I could tell just from listening to how easily the words came out of my mouth, how easily they flowed, and how easily the information came into my brain to fill the time between pitches, when I was ready to go. And it wasn't until I had done 5 or 6 broadcasts, that I felt that.
This year was not your first bout with depression. How did you get through previous bouts that you've had earlier in your career?
The first one back in 2002, I just kind of powered through it. And I think the difference is that, I was 20 years younger and my brain was 20 years sharper. And, even though I, was fighting, all of the symptoms of depression that make it difficult, to have a smile in your voice on the air and sound like you're having fun and have the sort of recollection you need to do this job and mental acuity to do the job, I was able to do it. This year, 20 years later, with, my memory already not as good as it used to be, I just didn't think I could possibly do it. And I wasn't going to go back on the air and embarrass myself or the Rangers by doing a job that was not up to my, usual standard of excellence.
You are now 72 years old. 17 years ago, you signed a lifetime contract with the Rangers. Now that you've done more than 6,000 games and you've broadcast a world champion, does the word lifetime have more meaning for you?
Yeah, actually, the word lifetime had meaning to me when I turned 65 and the lifetime contract basically ran out. And I had to start doing renewals of the lifetime contract. And I've been going year to year for a while now. Yeah, it's clear to me that at some point, I'm going to stop doing this. Either I'm not going to be able to physically and mentally do the job to the standard that I demand, or I'm not going to enjoy it enough anymore to do it, or I'm just going to want to do other things with my life that don't involve doing 100+ baseball games a year. So each year at the end of the season, I'll make that decision. And I haven't made the decision yet regarding next year. I'm pretty sure I'll come back, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll tell you this, though, all of the events following the end of the World Series, particularly the day of the parade, riding in the parade and seeing the exhilaration, the delirium, the joy on the faces of 600,000 to 700,000 people really moved me and made me realize, how what we do, we being the announcers, we being the players, everybody involved in putting on this show that is Major League Baseball, how valuable what we do is to so many people, how important it is to so many people. That motivated me and kind of pushed me in the direction of continuing to do this. And even after the parade, when I knew I couldn't get out of there for a couple of hours because there was so much traffic, I just hung around and talked to people and realized that, for a lot of people, it's my voice that they're used to listening to, that they're comfortable to listen to. And my partners are great. And, I listened to them for 2/3 of the season this year. They're going to be fantastic when I retire. They're already fantastic. But for a lot of people, I'm the one they grew up with, and they want to make sure that I'm a part of it.
Do you realize of that mass crowd at the parade, do you realize how many of those people are happy for you in particular?
But I did get that feeling, as I started talking to people and, as I read some of the comments on the incredible piece that Levi Weaver wrote in The Athletic and realized, that, yeah, people are happy for me. I'm the guy out in the public who's been here the longest. Rich Price, and I'm in every interview, I'm bringing this up. Rich Price has been there longer than me, Hoggy. He's been down in the clubhouse in the umpire's room since 1977, and people don't see him. But he works his butt off, and he does an incredible job. And he's, on top of that, he's just a wonderful human being. They don't know the job he's done. They know the job that I do because I happen to do a job that's in the public, and I've been there longer than anybody now that Tom Grieve has retired. But Tom still has been going to a lot of games, and so for most people, Tom and I are the people, I think, and Chuck Morgan, of course, who's been here since the early 80s, are the people out in front who they're happiest for. They don't see John Blake. He's been here since 84, but John's probably done twice as much work as I've done over the years.
Now that all this is over, will you have time for lunch again?
I think we can probably fit it in. Yeah, I'm going to do some traveling in the off season. I haven't decided all of the places I'm going. I'm going to a couple of music festivals in January and February, but I'll be around. And my guess is that with the Rangers winning the World Series, there probably will be a little bit more of a demand for public appearances than there have been the last 6 years.
Eric, soak up the feeling. This has been such a strange year. This has been such a strange career. Soak up the feeling. Live and love every minute of what's happening to you right now.
Thanks. I'm trying to stay in the moment. As we record this, it's been 5 days since the Rangers clinched, and I'm still on cloud 9 and riding this wave for as long as I can. I'm really enjoying it. Every day since they clinched, I've awakened, and the first thought in my mind has been, wow, this is really true. The Rangers won the World Series.
Hey, thanks, my friend. God bless you. Have wonderful days. I look forward to our paths crossing.
Thanks for having me on, Norm. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Today's episode has been brought to you by Fluent Financial, by O'Hale Roofing, and by Goodness Steak Seasoning.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Just Wondering. If you enjoyed it, please hit follow, and then each episode every weekday will be delivered straight to you. And if we might ask one more favor, please share it with friends. I'm Norm Hitzges, and every day I'll be just wondering about something.
And I'm Mary Hitzges, and I'm just wondering too.